So we apologize. Apparently, we were having technical difficulties. We got through the roll call of the board members. All the board members are present and accounted for. We had gone through the standing resolutions to approve the minutes and the student activity treasurer's report, to approve the appropriation status report, and the CPSE and CSE recommendations. All of those motions have been carried. And then we're on to business and finance. And we will begin from there if that is okay. And we apologize for the technical difficulties. I think we are up to speed with where we need to be. So, but we will do item 1 again. I apologize. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the items listed are declared as obsolete, surplus, or unusable to be sent to recycling per our policy 5250, sale and disposal of school district property. So again, if we could have a motion for that. I don't remember who it was.
Motion.
Okay, we have motion from Tom.
Second.
Okay, second from Carol. And any discussion? Okay, all in favor, starting with Carol.
Yes.
Carrie.
Yes.
Sarah.
Yes.
Jesse.
Yes.
Jeff, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Tom.
Yes.
And myself, I'm a yes. So that motion has carried. The next one was to accept donations upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the donation to the music department of a 4-valve silver-plated tuba from Greg Chaffin, and also the donation to the elementary school's media center of books from the PTA is gratefully accepted. Could we have a motion for that?
Motion.
Motion.
Okay, and could we have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, starting with Carol.
Yes.
Carrie.
Yes.
Sarah.
Yes.
Jesse.
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
Tom.
Yes.
And I am a yes. That motion has carried. The third thing under business and finance. It's quite a bit to read here, but it is related to the adoption of the resolution relating to the deferment of the annual budget vote and the board member election. So I think it's worth reading it through, and I will do that for the public. It says, whereas in light of the situation that has been created by the COVID-19 pandemic, New York State Governor Andrew Cuomo has issued executive order number 202.13, continuing temporary suspension of modification of laws relating to the disaster emergency on March 30th, 2020. The order, and whereas the order provides in relevant part that any school board election scheduled to take place in April or May of 2020 is postponed until at least June 1st, 2020, subject to further directive as to the timing, location, or manner of voting for such election. And whereas the New York State School Boards Association has obtained informal guidance from the Deputy Secretary of Education in New York, which guidance has been or is expected to be subsequently clarified and confirmed by the governor, that the order was intended to cover not just school board elections, but also school board votes in general, such as the district's annual vote that have been scheduled to occur on May 19th, 2020. And whereas in light of the order of the Board of Education of the district, such as the board, wishes to direct empower the district clerk to monitor the situation and to defer the pending initial publication of the district's annual vote notice or cease further publication of such notice to the extent possible until such time as further guidance is provided in accordance with the order, and then to proceed as directed. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the district clerk be and hereby is authorized and directed to monitor the events that are subject to the order and to keep abreast of the future guidance that is anticipated to be delivered pursuant to the order. And be it further resolved that the district clerk shall, in the meantime, defer initial publication or any further publication to the extent possible of the district's annual vote notice until such time as a date for the district's annual vote has been established pursuant to the order or has otherwise been established by law, and then proceeded to implement such publication arrangement as may be directed without further action of the board being necessary. And be it further resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately. So could we have a motion for that resolution?
Motion.
Motion. Second.
Okay, any discussion?
I'm just
Yeah.
curious what would happen if we didn't adopt it. It seems like it's one of those things that you really have to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the answer to that. Maybe Margie could speak to that as part of the discussion.
I'm
Yeah,
just curious.
I don't know. It's a lawyer thing that I just realized my camera was off. We got it from one of our attorneys. I think the most important part is just that last part where it says that I could just go ahead and continue to do my job without having to have it go back to the board for approval. Since you've already approved legal notices and so forth, it's just, telling me to pay attention.
Okay. Yeah, the whole resolution was a mouthful. Is there any other clarification or discussion that needs to happen?
Yeah. What about board member petitions? Like they were due last week. If there's an extension on this, is there going to be an extension on those as well?
Yeah,
I defer to Margie.
we haven't heard anything. No guidance whatsoever.
So that's potential. That's like up in the air.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, is there any other discussion? Okay, all in favor, starting with Carol,
Yes.
Carrie,
yes,
Sarah,
Yes.
Jesse,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
and I am a yes. That motion has carried. The next item on the agenda is for the project invoice payments. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the following invoices are approved for payment for services and supplies related to capital projects. Both are to Buffalo Construction Consultants. One is in the amount of $11,121.68. The other one's in the amount of $12,497.22. Could we have a motion?
Motion.
second,
Okay, we got a motion, Carol, and a second from Carrie. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, starting with Carol,
Yes.
Carrie,
yes,
Sarah,
Yes.
Jesse,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
and I am a yes as well. That motion has carried. Trying to look and see if I can tackle the next items together here. We have items 5, 6, and 7 on the agenda are to approve professional services upon the recommendation of the superintendent. One is for asbestos abatement and air monitoring for the 2019 capital improvement project. The other is for construction testing for the 2019 capital improvement project. And the other is design and engineering for the 2020 capital outlay project. Could we have a motion for those 3 items?
Motion.
Motion,
Second.
Carol. Second, Tom. Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor, starting again with Carol,
Yes.
Carrie,
yes,
Sarah,
Yes.
Jesse,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
and I am also a yes. Those motions have carried. I think we can probably do the next 2 together as well, 8 and 9. The first one is to reject the roofing bids. Be it resolved that the Board of Education, in the best interest of the school district, hereby rejects all bids for contract C-107 for the 2019 capital improvement projects. That was around roofing costs. And then the next item would be to award a roofing bid to Groove Roofing upon the recommendation of the superintendent. That total contract amount would be in the amount of $280,000. So could we have a motion for those two items?
Motion.
Second.
Okay. Is there any discussion?
Andy Lang, could you explain the process to the first rejection and the second award? I think it'd be helpful to the public to hear what's going on there.
Sure, absolutely. The rejection of the initial roofing bid was as a result of the project coming significantly above the projected budget. And so what the district decided to do was to revamp the bid and reduce it to address the significant areas within the roofs, particularly where they're leaking, especially at the elementary school, to address those areas first in order to get those completed. So that's the second approval of the roofing contract, was a revised bid just to address the items that we really needed to do this summer. The goal is to bid the remainder of the roofing project, a large amount during a time in which the bidding environment is more advantageous to the district. So hopefully within the fall.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, thank you, Andy. Is there any other discussion? Okay. All in favor, starting with Carol.
Yes.
Carrie,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Jesse,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
and I am a yes. So the motion has carried. Next is to ratify the tentative agreement with the RHTA. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the Board of Education hereby ratifies the tentative agreement dated March 3rd, 2020 with the Royalton-Hartland Teachers Association with a term of July 1, 2019 through June 30th, 2024, and approves funds to implement the agreement. Could we have a motion for that?
Motion.
Second.
Okay. Is there any discussion?
I have more of a comment or a thought, if I can talk or
Sure.
no. Is it my turn?
Yep.
Okay. One of the biggest things with bargaining units over the course of the past year, in any industry or any school, has been the rising costs of healthcare. And it's a huge deal to ask any bargaining unit to contribute more toward their health care. And with the approval of this contract, we can officially say that every bargaining unit has agreed to contribute more. And this helps our district control costs. Now, maybe it's not appropriate for me to say thank you, but I am, especially during this time. To all bargaining units, thank you for the contributions to our healthcare systems.
Yeah, good points, Carol. Thank you. Is there any other discussion?
Mr. Owen, may I make a comment as well?
Yes, absolutely.
Just on behalf of the bargaining team of myself and Andy and Mr. Van Vliet from the Orleans Niagara BOCES, we want to thank the negotiating team from the RHTA. We are in full support of ratification of this agreement. And the good work that was the exchanges back and forth. We all didn't get everything we wanted, but we made success, very much positive movement to help with the district's long-term financial situation and also to help improve teaching and learning.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Sapinski. Is there any other discussion? Okay. All in favor, starting with Carol?
Yes.
Carrie?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Jesse?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
And I am yes. That motion is carried. Next is to approve the successor agreement with the superintendent of schools. Resolved that the Board of Education approves the successor employment agreement with Dr. Henry Stupinski, Superintendent of Schools, executed on April 22nd, 2020, with a term of July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2023.
Can I just come in real quick? That should actually read executed on April 23rd. It's supposed to be today's date.
Oh, today's date. I'm sorry. I just read it out right. You're right. April 23rd, today,
Yeah.
with a term of July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2023. Okay. Could we have a motion, please?
Motion.
Second.
Okay. I didn't catch who the motions were from, but in a second. Margie, did you get it?
I got Jesse and Tom.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay. All in favor, starting with Carol?
Yes.
Carrie?
I'm a no. It's not that I'm against the contract, it's against the timing. With the
Okay.
fact that, oh, you don't want me to say why, or you just,
Well, that was for discussion, but
okay, all right.
so that's fine. Sarah?
No, for the same reasons as Carrie.
Okay. Jesse?
Yes.
Jeff?
No.
Tom?
Yes.
And I am a yes. I guess that leads to a 4-3 vote in the favor of the motion carrying. So that motion has carried. I guess we will move on to policy.
We have a couple of
I'm sorry, board resolutions,
right.
correct?
Yep.
I got lost here. All right, so on to board resolutions. There's 4 items. The first is to approve the Orleans-Niagara-BOCES proposed administrative budget, which approves the 2021 proposed administrative budget for our cooperative educational services in the amount of $2,783,582. We have a motion for that.
Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, so we had a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, that was a packet that we received this week, just to state that part of the routine business of the school district each year, and it seems like it's in line. So there's no other discussion. I guess we will vote on it, starting with Carol.
Yes.
Carrie,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Jesse,
Yes.
Jeff, I didn't hear from Jeff.
Jeff's microphone is off.
Okay, I think he gave us a yes there. Tom?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Next on board resolutions is resolved that the Board of Education of the Royalton-Hartland Central School District cast its votes in the election of members of the Board of Education of the Orleans-Niagara Board of Cooperative Educational Services for the person or persons indicated on the ballot. There are 7 here. Vincent Kinsemi, Anthony Casanelli, Janice Colville, Carol Feltz, Thomas Klotzbach, Robert McDermott, and Wendy Swearingen. They are representing the school districts locally to be on the board. That would be on the ballot. Could we have a motion for that resolution?
Motion.
Motion, Jeff.
Second.
Second, Tom. Any discussion? All in favor, starting with Carol.
Yes.
Carrie,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Jesse,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
and myself, I'm a yes. Finally, to approve the Facilities Committee meeting notes of March 12th, 2020. Can we have a motion?
Motion.
Motion,
Second.
Carol. Second, Sarah. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor again, starting with Carol,
Yes.
Carrie,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Jesse,
Yeah.
Jeff,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
and I am a yes as well. So that motion has carried. I have no board updates for myself. If there are any board members that has any updates from a committee, I know things are a little rough right now, but is there anything that needs to be said from a committee?
I just have a couple things for the musical.
Okay, by all
People
means.
might be interested in.
Sure.
It is not being canceled at this point, so I don't want to alarm anybody with this. But in the meantime, Carrie Pratt, who is the Music Parents Club president, is getting refunds for anybody that has purchased pre-sale tickets, with the thought of once the musical is rescheduled, that all tickets will be sold at the door in case there's the social distancing issues or whatever. We're still keeping our fingers crossed that the show can actually happen. And the other item is, I know musicals students in the cast were notified that they could pick up a program to look at for fun. And they're on my front porch, but I know Mr. Schaus is running the show right now. So if he wants to get a hold of any of his crew members, and I'll get a hold of Mr. Bacon to see if any of the pit students would like to have a program to look at and enjoy for the duration of this crisis. And then we have plenty more should the show continue for the audience members. So that's all I have for that.
Okay, thank you, Carol. Is there any other board updates?
I have a bunch of questions. Are you saying like this is the time for that?
Yeah, the only other things we have are just readings, like to suggest third readings, and I'm looking at just FYI stuff, and then the superintendent's report. So it'd probably be a good point, a good time for that, Carrie. So go ahead.
Okay. Let me see. Let me start by saying that I think the teachers have been and continue to do an outstanding job instructing our kids through all of this. The first questions I have are about the new materials. Are the hotspots in place for the families that don't have internet access?
Yeah, as of this time, we did a survey of all the family members that did not have good internet access. We polled the teachers that were struggling to get to the students. We ordered 35, 29 have been distributed and are functioning at this time. There are additional 6 that will be distributed over the next couple of days to the families.
Okay, so they're going right into the people's houses? Is that
Yes,
how
that's
that
right.
works?
Yep.
Okay.
What kind of hotspots did we end up using?
I don't remember the exact brand name. Andy, do
Is it
you?
like a signal booster or a?
Yeah, they're called a Khajiit hotspot, and it's think of it like a Wi-Fi hotspot that you would have, almost like a cellular hotspot. They were purchased right through Erie One BOCES.
And are they effective? Have we gotten any feedback?
I don't have a report on their effectiveness at this point. We can certainly get that to you. Jill would be able to provide that.
Okay.
We had one comment on the Twitter feed suggesting that they are working and have improved performance in one of the homes that we got back. We have not yet surveyed all the families.
All right, so then my next one is the printing versus digital. Like I know as a teacher, some topics are easier to teach with guided notes. And If we are still in school, those guided notes would be available because we would be printing them and handing them out in class. I guess I'm really wondering is why, like the teachers from 2 through 12 weren't given the option to be able to do it the way they wanted to, like if they wanted to use guided notes.
I can't answer the specific question about guided notes. I do know that many of the teachers have been using the guided notes in a digital format, which students can go along with their work and do the typing. We did print certain materials out for certain families upon request, but I'll have to take a look at the guided notes across the board.
Okay. That's not really the message that I received at home, but that's okay. Is the work completed between March 16th and April 20th going to be graded?
The work between the time periods of March 16th and 21st will not be used to decrease any student's grade, but it will be used by teachers at their discretion to increase students' third quarter grade. So it's not going to negatively impact them there.
Okay. But it will help kids that did do the work and put the time in.
Will not be penalized during that period of time for any things. There's no expectation that students will go back and have to complete that work during that time period either.
Okay, that's good. All right, and then my other questions are in response to the letter that we had all received from Mrs. Ander about the senior activities and the ceremonies.
Okay.
In the response, you said we will continue to consider all options. Could you just tell us who is we, like who's on that committee or making those decisions?
Yeah. So as of this time, we're expecting the closure is going through May 15th. In the event that school remains closed the rest of the school year, then we'll be looking at other contingencies. Currently working with Gary Bell, the school principal, the advisors that are organizing the prom are all folks that are participating in that conversation.
Okay. What options have been considered so far? Do you know?
Well, currently we're have a contract with the Wurlitzer Events as the venue for the prom to take place. They are working with us right now to look at other available dates if we had to delay it in July or August. They do have some dates that are available. Most of them will be in the middle of the week. They're not a weekend type date situation. But as of this moment in time, we could not actually hold the prom given the limitations of the governor's orders and the situations. So we're looking at other options.
Great. That's good to know. Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay.
On Carrie's note quick, I would encourage everybody to kind of look around, go on social media or news websites. My wife had shown me a video today or an article from a school down south. You know, the situation with the proms and graduation is something that schools down south are facing now. You know, those schools that end in May are usually having their proms, you know, right now, as opposed to us who graduate later and have our prom later. So I would, just encourage everybody to keep an eye out, get some ideas, because there's a lot of good ones out there, like this school in particular had set up something on their football field where they did a individual graduation ceremony with each student and their immediate family, filmed it, and they would then, compose a whole graduation ceremony from there. Not saying that's what we have to do, but it's an idea, and it's a tangible example of what's going on elsewhere in the country. So, all the best ideas are usually, stolen ideas anyway. So I would just encourage everybody to keep an eye out for things they see online, and anyone who sees something that they like or it's a good idea, bring it to the board or bring it to, Gary Bell or your class advisor or prom advisor, and, and share that with everybody. And, we can get the best idea possible if it comes to that, and run with it. God willing, we do have our normal graduation and a normal prom, but absent that, there's going to be plenty of good ideas out there that we can do.
Do you happen to know what school that was? Do you remember?
I can look it up real quick if you got one.
Or if you could just like email a link or something. I'd just be interested to see what they did.
Yeah, I'll send it over. It was it's called Louisa, Luisa, Louisa County, and they are in somewhere down south, Alabama, Mississippi, something like that. So, but those schools are all, facing these problems right now, as opposed to us who, they're still a ways away. So I'll send you the link.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that we have to deal with, this COVID-19 pandemic, and the catch-22 of it is we have many community members who, because of the uncertainty, they want to, have answers to their questions. And the best way to, get that to happen is to have them come together in a meeting that we can't have to resolve these things, and to encourage the public to, reach out to Dr. Stupinski would fill up his inbox, and same with us as board members. So it certainly is something we just have to be patient with, and, considering the liability and whatnot as well. So we hope that things are going to work out in the best favor of our students, of course. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. Was there anything else, or other questions of, I guess Dr. Stupinski is going to be doing an update in a minute anyway.
I was just wondering today, we've got several committees at school, but what about the yearbook committee? Because that's usually put together by the students and their advisor. Is there any progress being made on that? And what is the deadline for that?
My understanding is that the yearbook is actually working on the work in it from a distance delivery and digital format there. That Ms. Cousins has been working with students and has been reaching out to the faculty to submit pictures and digital images and that type of work. I can get a more detailed report back to the board from Mr. Bell to let you know where the progress is at.
All right, thank you. If there's no other board resolutions or anything, I just want to talk about the policy. The third reading is for each of the following policies. The drug and alcohol testing for school bus drivers is still on the table. Employment of retired persons, and the child abuse and maltreatment. So that being said, we still can do a third reading. We don't have to, put it to vote now, but at our next meeting we can do that. So just make sure you're reading those. I see that the next thing on the agenda then is the superintendent's report. So we turn it over to you, Dr. Stupinski.
Yeah, this was the third reading for those policies.
Oh, this was the third reading.
Yeah.
So we do need a motion to approve them.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, I feel foolish in what I've said. It makes me feel like I didn't do my homework properly. So we do have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor then. We'll start with Carol.
Yes.
Carrie.
Yes.
Sarah.
Yes.
Jesse.
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
Tom.
Yes.
And myself am a yes as well. Okay, and that would lead us then to the for your information section and the superintendent's report. So Dr. Stupinski, we hand it over to you.
Sure. Got several items I want to update the board and the community on. The first one is I received word today of a great honor that our high school has received a New York State Education Department recognition school designation. It's pretty significant. There's only one of 582 schools that were recognized for this. And to put it in context, there's 4,822 schools in New York State. And our high school was recognized for its efforts in improving student performance, its participation rates, and meeting of the ESSA standards. So I think that's a huge shout out to all members of the high school, the teachers, the staff, the administration, Mr. Bell for his leadership and good work there. So congratulations to the district for that one. A few updates on the budget. We are anxiously awaiting the end of the month on April 30th. There will be a new run on state aid. At that point, we'll be able to better make recommendations to the board of what the budget will look like for 2020, 2021. We may need to require a work session of the board once we get those numbers, depending where they come. Our hope is that on May 7th, we'll have the adoption of the budget for next school year. And sometime after the 1st of June will be the vote. We still have no guidance on when that vote will take place for the public meeting. Also, a couple of COVID-19 updates. We mentioned earlier the technology has been distributed to the families. We continue to serve approximately, we put out about 850 meals every other day for the community. That includes breakfast and lunch. The continuity of learning plans went out from our teachers this week. Over 400 families picked up materials at the elementary school, about 80 or 100 at the middle school. We did do some mailings to get information out. I want to recognize also that we see that our families and our students are under tremendous stress right now. As many of you are being confined to your homes and having to work from home, we realize that that's the case also in some of the households, or many of them, and our teachers are going way above in their efforts to support our young people through phone calls, through messages. Our special services department, our counselors are all doing their best efforts to try to help with that. I want to personally thank the teachers, the administration, the students, and the families. This is not an ideal situation. No one would have envisioned 2 months ago that we'd be in this learning environment, and everyone's working very hard. I ask for your patience as we work through the glitches and the changes, but I thank everyone in the school district. You'll notice around school right now that the capital project is underway. We have emptied the school pool. We're in the process of replacing the filtration system as we speak. While the pool's been emptied, we're starting to point and do some repairs on the tile that are in the pool. You'll notice that there's activity east of the middle school as they're putting in drainage and beginning to skim off the work for the playground and the new parking area that'll be there below field hockey. Nearly completed in our abatement of the maintenance garage, and very shortly they'll be getting in there to begin replacing the heat system, painting, and doing the other parts of the work. Now with the roofing bid being completed, we'll actually get the roofers on board for that project before we begin the elementary and middle school. Talked a little bit about the prom. Please note that both prom and commencement as of this minute are scheduled as planned. But if we had to deliver either one of those events today, there are limitations by the governor's order and Department of Health that we would not be able to assemble people. So we are beginning the process of developing some contingencies. Based on what happens with the next governor's order, will determine how we proceed moving forward. We do have some time, but there's typically about 1 month lead time that we have to let the folks that are hosting us for the prom. Also about a month lead time when we think about the stage, the sound system, and all the setup that would typically go into a graduation. And that's all I got for now, unless there's any other questions.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Stupinski. I think
I have a question quick.
Oh, go ahead, Carrie. I'm sorry.
Is there any kind of an update or anything from the grant writers?
We'll be seeing that at the in the next board report at the end of this month. Will be their monthly report that'll come out.
Okay.
They have been working on some partnerships for us with organizations. They've done an extensive roundtable with many of our partners and some new partners that are emerging. There's a meeting next week with some folks from the Siemens Corporation that we're going to be looking at some possible opportunities to look at our energy efficiency. There's a solar project, some other things that are taking place.
Okay, and then I have one more question. I don't know if I heard wrong or what, but when you were doing your update just now, and you were talking about the east of the middle school, you were talking about drainage, and I thought you said playground, but I thought the playground was going where the old tennis courts were.
It's the tennis courts and it's the parking lot. Excuse me.
Okay.
Thank you for the correction.
Okay. Well, normally this would be the time in the meeting where we open it up to the public. So I'm just going to read a statement so that those who are watching from the community can understand how that's going to take place. The Board of Education values comments and input from the district residents. Those who would like to share comments for the record can email the district clerk prior to the meeting at mmasters@royhart.org and use the subject line public forum. Keep in mind, comments are to be related to issues and not individual people. Beyond that, I would say that if there's any of us board members or anybody, community members who do have questions, pertaining to certain things, you can direct them obviously to Dr. Stupinski, and he'll be able to answer that. But in terms of making a statement in the meeting here, we would ask that you would direct that to Ms. Masters' email. In terms of executive session, I don't think, Dr. Stupinski, that you have anything for executive session.
I do not.
Okay, I know our next meeting is May 7th. Am I correct on that?
That is correct.
And it's more of a work session. It's going to be geared towards budget.
It's a regular meeting. We hope to be adopting the budget at that time. We may need to go to a work session on the budget prior to that, depending on information that'll be shared with us in the next week and a half.
Okay. So I don't have anything for executive session. I don't know that anybody else does. If not, if we could have a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Okay, we have a motion, and I'll second. And no discussion. So all in favor, we can say aye here.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Okay, everybody have a good what's left of the evening, and we'll see you all soon. Thank you.
Thank you.